Hello again, everybody. You're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. And with me, as always, is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this morning?
We're here, Felipe. We're both struggling a little bit, but we're gonna try and truck through it.
Yeah, I mean, we should have been well rested, right? We had like that 2 week rest. You know how pitchers go every 6 days nowadays. Uh, we're on a 2 week what do you call it?
2 week
break,
rotation.
2 week rotation, and we're still not at 100%, but we're gonna try. We're gonna give it a try anyway. And as Sean had pointed out in the title of this episode, we're gonna be talking about prospect, not just this is our minor league show, prospect show, whatever you want to call it. But it's not just that, Sean. It's the super prospect minor league show. As I believe we have 12, 12, 12,
A
12,
dozen.
12, 12,
A dozen.
the dirty dozen here. 12 players to go through, 2 infielders, 2 outfielders each, 2 starting pitchers each. So without further ado, let's get cracking here. And the first guy we're going to talk about today is Matt Rudick from the New York Mets. Figure I give Sean the local flavor special, as he is a Mets fan. 24 years old, Double-A, outfielder. And I should preface this by saying that the reason why I decided that we should do a prospect show it's May, right? I think we've done these in May, but I figure if we wait till June, a lot of players are going to get called up. And as we know, Sean, a lot of players have already been called up. I believe there's a new rule, right? Regarding that encourages teams to promote some of their well-known prospects. I'm not sure if where I got that info from, but I could have sworn that was. Go ahead.
Yeah, the major incentive for that I passed, I believe, in like the end of April, in which if your player is on the roster long enough to accrue a full year of service time, then they win Rookie of the Year, or finish first or second, I think it is. You get a compensational pick in the next year's draft. So that was the thing with Julio Rodriguez last year, that he was able to win the Mariners a first-round pick. Adley Rutschman came in second, and even though he wasn't called up till late in the season, he was able to earn himself a full year of service time by coming in second in the Rookie of the Year. And then, of course, the Braves had 1 and 2, but their players didn't fit the criteria for the new rules because they have to be top 100. This is where I'm not crazy about the rule, but you have to be top 100 in 2 of at least, I think, 4 of the major publications.
Whoa, I did not know that.
And neither Strider or Michael Harris were in the top 100. So even though they won and Strider had enough, was on the roster long enough to accrue a full year of service time, the fact that he wasn't eligible. So, but that's why Julio Rodriguez was.
That is interesting. So I've noticed that there's been a lot of call-ups more than usual, like big name prospects. So, but the reason I did this, wanted to do this show, is because I'm looking at the waiver wire for starting pitchers, and starting pitching is pretty bad. I mean, I know I complain about it every single year, but it seems to be getting worse every damn season.
Yeah,
so I figured, well, waivers are pretty thin. So we have some awful starting pitchers on major league rosters as it is right now, that we can't even field a decent fantasy lineup. So let's go look into the minor leagues. And sure enough, I go into the minor leagues, like, holy crap, it's not any better there either. But we're gonna, like I said, I expect a lot more call-ups in a couple of weeks from now. So I know June is usually the time of the year where we see a lot of teams calling up a bunch of their better known prospects, or at least higher achieving prospects in the minors. So we figure we nip this in the butt, give you 12 names to look out for, and go from there. So we go back to Matt Rudick, a 24-year-old out of Double-A outfielder for the Mets, 5'6", 170. That's going to be a theme here, is that Sean picked a lot of little guys here.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it until we hopped in the Zoom chat, and Felipe's like, dude, you got somebody that's 5'6". And I thought it was one of my other picks, but he's like, I was like, that guy's 5'8". And he goes, well, no, Matt Rudick's 5'6". And I was like, holy crap, I've seen like video of Rudick, and I knew he was small, but I didn't think he was 5'6" small. But Matt Rudick, anyway, he was the 13th round pick in the 2021 draft. A bit of a, just kind of like whatever, former college bat comes in and showed, solid plate discipline metrics in his first two stops, both in the complex when he was initially drafted in 2021, last year rising up to even had a cup of coffee in AAA, but that was more out of like necessity than anything. But solid walk rate, kept the strikeout rate down, but wasn't hitting for much power. It was very much the very what would you call it? Slap and Judy hitter. Only had 3 home runs, but did chip in 17 stolen bases in 83 games at high A. And then this year, he I didn't even realize it. And then this year, he starts off the season at Double A, and in the first 32 games, he has already picked up 5 home runs. That's more than he had all last season, and 5 stolen bases. He's walked more than he struck out, and he's actually been one of the best offensive players in the Eastern League. He's like 1 or 2 in all of our favorite stats: WRC plus, on base, WOBA, and the like. And it's all coming from this very, kind of looked over small frame player. I mean, he has a 444 on base. It's kind of insane, slugging over 525, 170 WRC plus, lots of doubles, 9 doubles, 5 homers. And while there's not the potential for like all-star caliber outfielder here, there's always something for corner outfield guy that bats lefty, has the platoon advantage, and can be, a bat off the bench, 4th outfielder type. And you like to see the guys that are kind of looked over in drafts kind of have a breakout like this.
So the rest of the notes I have here is you mentioned the WRC plus. He's also at what do you call it, 444. So he has the Wendy's WOBA, the weighted on base average, which again, weighted on base average is basically linear weights given where home runs, triples, doubles have a higher value than singles and walks, and it is scaled to look like a batting average, hence the name weighted on base average. 444, that's pretty darn good so far this year, although a small sample size, I guess you could say. Well, it's not really small. I mean, I think you mentioned it, what, 83 games or 83 player appearances? I forget.
50. No, he's at, I think, 32 games. 83 games was last year.
Okay, 83.
And he also has, as of a couple days ago, this is courtesy of Mike Mayer, Mets writer. He was tied for first with the lowest swinging strike rate in all of the Eastern League at 5.9%. I'm like, holy crap, when you see some of like these top prospects that I always worry about with the swing and miss, or the things that make me feel skeptical about prospects everybody else loves. But no, 5.9, when he swings, he's making contact, and really like to see it.
Yeah, and then the last notes I have for Matt Rudick was he's a little guy with some stolen base potential. I forgot why I put some stolen base potential as opposed to great stolen base potential, but it might be just an issue of lack of counting stat production, I guess. Yeah. I don't remember. The one thing that it does pop out, you mentioned it, great plate approach.
Yeah.
So that is Matt Rudick. So Sean got a lot of AA guys, as he has wanted to do, is focus on AA or lower. And again, I focus on AAA because I want help now, right? I want my help. I need my assistance right now. This is the whole point to why I do this. So my guy is Nolan Jones. I know red flags all around, but hear me out here. Outfielder for the Colorado Rockies. That's
a bit old for when you pick guys, right?
This year I stuck it to 25 or younger.
Okay, there you go.
I think I've done that before. Let me see. What did we do last time?
I feel like you usually do younger than 25.
That might just be more coincidental, but yeah. Okay, so last year, the oldest guy I had on my list around this time last year was 22 years old. That was Shea Langoliers. And who else did I have?
It really does blow my mind looking back on Nolan Jones now and realizing how far or how long he's been around.
Yeah, that's what I noticed last year as well. By the way, last year our first minor league show was on May 8th.
Yeah, so, and I vaguely remember that was the Asteri Ruiz coming out party where
Yeah.
he had already stolen like 40 bases or something. And I was like, you guys need to look at this guy. And of course, Ruiz gets traded again, and now he leads the majors in stolen bases.
And then my oldest pitcher was Kate Cavalli at 24 years old when we were doing this last year. So that was on August 26th. We had 2 minor league shows last year, but one in May, and then actually we had several last year because we did the hitters last year on May 8th, May 15th we did it on pitchers, and then we did the super show on August 26th, it looks like. So yeah, everything's notated. We keep track of our work here, folks. So Nolan Jones has always been an intriguing player for me, though. I know left-handed bat, red flag. But he's 6'4", 195-pound, AAA with the Rockies, and he was supposed to be called up this year. He got called up last year. Very low hit tool, but the reason that you go after a guy like Nolan Jones is that power. Yeah. Raw power, 60 out of 70 graded according to Fangraphs. Everything else is subpar. At one point, I remember him being future value at 50. Now he's dropped down to 45, but he was at one point, Sean, if you remember, a top 100 Fangraphs player. Yeah. So this is kind of a post-hype prospect sleeper.
And it was, I think, moving off of third base, really hurts that value, because back then he had third base eligibility. And he actually was called up this year, but the Rockies, in their infinite wisdom, called him up for, I think, 4 days, didn't play him once, and then sent him immediately back down.
That's the one. That's the one thing I noticed about the Rockies, is because I was also looking at the rosters to see where will there be room for a guy like Nolan Jones, and there really isn't at this point, unless some trades happen.
It's the Rockies. Come on now.
I mean, look at it. They got Jurickson, Profar, and Chris Bryant on the corner outfield positions. That's Nolan Jones's forte, and then batting DH is Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah.
So unless he plays first base, but then who the hell's at first base? It's
Mike Moustakas.
Oh no, but there's a guy who's injured, isn't there?
CJ Crone, I think, is in
that.
There.
Yeah, so
I don't even know what he went on the IL for. Back spasms.
Yeah, he's been struggling. I feel like he's been struggling with back spasms for like the last couple of seasons.
I mean, he's a big dude.
Yeah, well, or it might have been a hand. Anyway, here's what I wrote about him. Strikeout rate has improved this year in Colorado. Now that is another red flag. It is the where do they play? Did they still play Colorado Springs, or where does the AAA affiliate play?
The AAA for them, I believe, is like Albuquerque.
Oh God! So it's not even. It's still up there.
Let me see. Double check. Yeah, Albuquerque Isotopes.
Oh, that's right.
Very pitcher friendly, or hitter friendly.
Yeah, Simpsons friendly too. Albuquerque, above sea level. Yeah, 5,312. Yeah. So he'll fit right in with the Colorado Rockies as soon as he gets called up. That's actually Albuquerque is actually higher than Denver.
Is it really?
By less than 100 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. But I mean, so there's a lot of red flags. But I think when you and I talked about Nolan Jones when he went to the Rockies, is that we both agree that it would be we would love to see that power unfold in Colorado on a daily basis, on a gamely basis here. So that's part of the allure here. Plus, he's also chipped in 5 stolen bases this year. So you're getting some stolen base potential. Not a lot, but some stolen base potential, especially with the new rules. So there is a little bit of speed in him so far this season. What else did I write about him? Would love to see. We'd love to see the damage that he could do in Colorado. Swinging strike rate has been declining for years now. So that's a good sign to see. That strikeouts were always a big issue with him, but everything there is improving. And here's going to be a running theme with my players, with my hitters this today episode, Sean. He's spraying the ball everywhere. So, a lot of these guys, they are very pull friendly, or they don't have the ability to pull the ball. So there's a higher opposite hit rate than pull hit rate. For Nolan Jones, everything's about 30%. A third of it goes the opposite way, some of it goes up the middle, and then the last third goes towards the pull side. He's left-handed, so he's left-handed, so balls would go to the right field side. And again, I've been working on this for a while, so some of these guys did show up in my preseason rankings. Nolan Jones was 28th overall when I was doing this in the offseason. So a lot to like. I'm not giving up on Nolan Jones. He just needs a little bit of an opportunity, I think. He plays on he's on a very bad Rockies team, so you would think the opportunities are going to present themselves. Chris Bryant is due for an injury. You already mentioned CJ Crone being hurt. Mike Moustakas is only time will tell before he gets hurt as well, or he gets DFA'd or released. I'm not sure how Moustakas is doing, but I don't think he's fantasy relevant. I have not been paying attention. I'm not looking at him. He's not in my radar anymore. So that's Nolan Jones. Let's go back to your guy, Jonathan Klaus.
Oh, sorry. I will say this with Nolan Jones is that this is now his third year repeating the AAA level, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you would expect some of these things. I've been having the same debates with Mets fans about Mark Vientos, who finally got the call. But it's kind of one of those things that you expect to see out of guys that have top 100 style talent and then somehow still kind of seem to stall out, whether just from ineffectiveness or their own team having the underlying numbers and not really buying it. But there's no reason that Nolan Jones, I understand if Cleveland was like, yeah, we're just not going to go there with him. We have a glut of middle infielders and corner outfielders right now. But for Colorado, it's like, just let him call him up, let him strike out 30% of the time, and just see how many home runs he hits. I mean, like, and if anything, right, you can just trade him off. Because really here, the optimal, and it goes back to their prospect days, they were always kind of lumped together. Nolan Jones and Nolan Gorman. And of course, when we see what Nolan Gorman's doing in a part-time platoon role with
right.
St. Louis, and there's no reason that Nolan Jones can't be doing the same for Colorado.
So that is Nolan Jones. I'm not giving up on him just quite yet. Again, there's such a thing as post-hype prospect sleepers, and I know Nolan Jones had a lot when he was in the last couple of years when he was at the Cleveland Guardians. Like Sean mentioned, that's the reason why I have him up here is like, what does Colorado have to lose? They still suck. This is probably one of their better prospects. As you one look at the Colorado Rockies, and it's just a lot of yuck. It's disgusting. There's really nothing there in the farm system. Well, let's double check there. Hold on. I might have seen a couple of names when I was doing this. And of course, my computer's acting all wonky, but it's Colorado. You know, it's probably the worst run franchise, you know, after they basically took that mantle away from the Baltimore Orioles, who had that distinction for like the last couple of winters or so. Remember, I've been complaining about the Orioles forever. And then you get to the last couple of seasons with the Rockies, like, wow, this is bad. And they, Sean, as you remember, they got basically nothing for Nolan Arenado. So they didn't even were able to supply their farm system with any promising talent. So yeah, it's Eloris Montero. I don't know.
Yeah, and he was the starting opening day third baseman before he got demoted.
Right.
And they sent him back down.
Another guy in AAA in their 40-man roster is Brian Serven, who's already 20 years old.
He's mainly catcher.
Yeah, he's saying he's in the 40-man roster. Sorry. Yeah. And then Nolan Jones, who's also on the 40-man roster. That's the only guy that's listed here of note. They got a bunch of other relief pitchers who are in the 40-man, but that doesn't matter. Let me see if I remember any of these names here. I think I remember Cole Tucker, 27 years old. Jonathan Daza, 29 years old. Remember Jonathan Daza when he was a thing?
I believe he got DFA'd. So he must have already cleared waivers because I think he got DFA'd like a week ago.
That makes sense. Least. Yeah, he's out of options. So yeah.
It's funny because he was like still hitting like 280. That's all he ever did in Colorado was hit 280, 290. But absolutely no pop, no defense.
And of course, our favorite player of all time. What would be a Total Bases podcast show without mentioning Logan Allen? No, not that Logan Allen. The original Logan Allen with the San Diego Padres. Like Logan Allen was the Cleveland Guardians loved Logan Allen so much that they went ahead and got two of those guys, like two players named Logan Allen, one from the Padres, and I think one was from their draft selection, I'm assuming, Logan Taylor Allen. But yeah, Logan Allen is in Colorado, and he has to be mentioned because those are the rules in the show. We got to mention Logan Allen. I remember Jeff Criswell, starting pitcher for the Rockies. I don't know how I remember him, but I remember him. He's 24 years old still, so maybe that could be a thing. But yeah, the cover is pretty bare here in Colorado. So come on, let's give this guy a chance. Nolan Jones for president. Let's go to your guy, Jonathan Clase. I asked you if he was related to Emmanuel Clase. You're not sure, but for the sake of the show,
don't believe he is. I don't think there's any relation.
We're gonna pretend that he is. He's related to Emmanuel Clase. No, Jonathan Clase of the Seattle Mariners, 20 years old. He's the youngest guy in the list here. Double A outfielder. Another little guy, and by little guy I mean that he's under 6 foot, which is for professional athletics that's pretty darn short. 5'9", 150. I mean, I'm 5'9". I'm not 150. I can tell you that much. Switch hitting outfielder. Number 14th rank in the Mariners system as of right now. He was 14th ranked in the 2022 report, but he was supposed to be called up next year, which it looks like he is in the right trajectory to be called up next year. Although with that loaded Seattle Mariners outfield, I don't know where he'll fit in, but Sean's going to let me know about that in just a little bit. Low hit tool, low power, but what's going to attract a lot of people is that 80 speed. And he's graded as a pretty decent fielder as well with the 40 future value. He's having he's having the worst season of anybody on the list with a 92 WRC plus. So Sean, you're gonna have to explain that one.
That is actually only in his last 15 games. He started off the year in high A and had crushed high A.
Okay.
That was why he got promoted. So he's still relatively new to the AA level. He's had a few better games here in the last week or so after struggling the first week, which we kind of expect for a lot of these players. I mean, 20 years old in AA, it's really impressive. And anything you kind of get out of them is kind of gravy. But yeah, like you said, 20 years old. The power is actually one thing that we're starting to that's probably going to get bumped up here in a little bit. The game power, it's going to go from higher than a 20 to a 30. Just earlier this week, had a home run that he posted what appears to be a career high for his max EV at 109 miles an hour, which for someone his size is pretty extraordinary. It's not like elite level max EVs like with the judges and stands, but you don't expect that. Always has posted solid walk numbers. Never had a stop where he walked fewer than 10% of the time, usually around 13 to 14%. Started off this year in high A, like I said, in 21 games, he had 7 home runs, 17 stolen bases, hit 330, 450 on base, 700 slug. So that's why he got the promotion to AA. And in his first 15 games there, like you said, only a 92 WRC plus, strikeout rate at 32%, which is worrisome because he's always run between 25, 26%. But 11 stolen bases in those 15 games, that puts him at 28 stolen bases on the year and only 36 games. It is legitimate game-changing speed. And before we went live, I could have swore that we had talked about Jonathan Clase on the show before, because I remember a lot of helium with Clase after the 2019 season, in which in rookie ball, he just looked unstoppable. Was walking a lot, kept the strikeout rate under 20%. And in 63 games, 286 plate appearances, he had stolen 31 bases. And then last year, in his first full season, I don't know what, I think he was hurt in 2021, only played 14 games, but last year in 2022, first full season, stateside ball, 55 stolen bases, 13 home runs, 117 WRC plus, 13% walk rate. So there's that potential for 15, 20 home runs, and then just like Esteri Ruiz type stolen base amounts. And it's kind of funny because after 2019, I remember he was a big name in prospect circles, and then it just he disappeared because he got hurt. And then last year he was good, but not great. So it's very interesting to see him 3 years after he was a big riser to once again be a big riser.
Yeah. Excuse me. So that is Clase. No relation. Well, we don't think he's related to Emmanuel Clase. But I think Emmanuel Clase is a big fellow, right? He's a huge guy.
Emmanuel Clase is big.
All right, let's go on to the next guy. My infielder, the first infielder that we're gonna mention, and I mentioned him at infielder because it looks like he could be a super utility guy in the vein of Ben Zobrist. Is Jordan Westberg of the Baltimore Orioles. This is a guy I've been keeping an eye on for a while. Since this offseason. I was actually thinking of drafting him in a couple of leagues where we do have minor league protected slots, but I decided not to do it after all. I'm still keeping an eye on him. As you know, we mentioned him before for sure because we were talking about Jorge Mateo and how he's basically staving off guys like Joey Ortiz and Jordan Westberg, where he is still of an important, vital part of the Baltimore Orioles infield. Well, Jordan Westberg, 24-year-old AAA infielder, 6'2", 210-pound, the ninth best prospect in the Orioles system, ETA of next year, 2024. I still believe that he can be called up this year, whether it be with the Orioles or if they decide to trade him to another team and the other team decides to give him a shot and call him up. Nothing outstanding here. Nothing like, pops up. He has a decent amount of speed at 50-50 grade, some raw power at 55-55 for an infielder, which is not too bad. 45 future value, having a great season in AAA. That's why we're talking about him. But power has improved at every stop he's been in, it seems like.
Slugging over 600 this year.
Yeah, video game numbers, which,
And not in the PCL. That's the International League.
I think, that Jordan Westberg, I forgot. No, Jordan Westberg, I did not account for BABIP with this one. So Nolan Jones and Jordan Westberg, I did not account for BABIP. The next two guys I'll talk about, I did account for BABIP. So we'll see we'll see those names, how they differ here. But I have him listed as a super utility guy potential. Like I said, like in the vein of Ben Zobrist. And that'd be great if the Orioles can get up Ben Zobrist, and they might actually win a championship this year. Because when Zobrist was at his peak, all he did was win championships. 2015, 2016.
So this year he's played primarily third base and shortstop, and 4 games total in the outfield.
Yeah, I could have sworn that he also had some time at second base in one of his stops when I was looking.
Okay. So he has played 4 games at second base this year. I thought he hadn't played it since last year. Okay, but no, he's played a little bit of second. Okay,
multiple eligibility, man. It's a real thing. I mean, we that's why we love Brendan Donovan. Yeah, that's all he could do. By the way,
I thought this would be a good time to mention it. But if you finagle around in Fangraphs and create your own custom table, you'll find that for the Florida State League and for AAA, all of AAA, not just the PCL anymore, it's hidden. You can find it by doing a custom table. The exit velocities, launch angles, max EVs for AAA players.
What?
And those in the Florida State League. So Joey Westberg, not Joey, it's Joey Ortiz and then Jordan Westberg. Jordan Westberg is at a 91 average EV, 110 max EV. So that kind of thump coming from a middle infielder would be nice.
Wait, how do you do that again?
So if you go all the way down, you got to be signed into your account. But
hold on. That's a problem now, isn't it? Oh, no, I am signed in. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now since I made a custom one, it doesn't want to show up. But I think if you go all the way down, you can hit where it's like custom table.
But where though? I mean, I'm in the minor league leaderboards.
Yeah. It's not going to be in the leaderboards. You got to go to their actual page, I think.
On the actual leaders, just the major league leaders.
No, on their player profile page.
On their player profile page.
Yeah, if you actually click on their name.
All right, so the first name I see is Ronnie Mauricio, so I just clicked on that. The AAA New York Mets player. Okay, so Ronnie Mauricio, 22-year-old, and then what I gotta create? Oh, so I click on customize.
Yes, I can't remember exactly where it was now that I've already created one. I can't find it. Yeah. Oh, and then you scroll all the way down. You can find EV, launch angle, and max EV. I even put in XBA and XSlug, but they don't have it computing. So
yeah, I gotta look for it because there's a lot of options here.
Yeah, it's towards the bottom. So Ronnie Mauricio, Ronnie Mauricio has a 93.3 average EV so far this year with a 115.5 mile per hour max EV. That's up there with the Judges, the Stantons, and the Alonsos. So just to give you an idea of the type of raw power Ronnie Mauricio has really tapped into.
Wow. Let me see this. I'm going to hit submit.
Yeah, I saw it. It should pop up at the top of the page, the custom table, or not above the regular dashboard page. I know we're going on a tangent here. Sorry, listeners.
No, this is important. No.
I thought this was a fun little tidbit. I saw a fellow Twitter user mention it.
All right, do you see my screen? I'm on the Fangraphs page.
Yes.
All right, so I hit the submit button, and then what do I do? Do I go back or?
So if you hit submit and then go, scroll up.
I am. This is all the way
wait,
up.
Okay, one sec. You hit submit, so now, okay, since you've already hit submit, right? So go and type Mauricio's name again.
All right, I'm clicking on Ronnie Mauricio's name again. Whoa!
And then, yeah, right there.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Will it show up on all my players? Let me see.
Yeah, it should, yeah. As long as you're signed into your account.
I am signed in, yeah. Let me see. Jordan Westberg. Okay, it's loading. Oh, it didn't. Oh! You have just made a powerful enemy here today.
An enemy?
I'm sorry, not you, Sean, but everybody else. I feel like Thanos now. I'm like, I just gained the last.
And this is only for AAA, because they have it installed in all of the ballparks now for the ABS system where they can challenge the strike calls and whatnot. So they have all the tracking there for it. And of course, they've had it in the Florida State League for several years now.
So Westberg is at 91 exit velocity, which
Yeah.
makes me wonder, what about Nolan Jones? Because that okay.
I had Nolan Jones pulled up and it was like 90 something. So
All right, hold on. 91 for Westberg, 49.5% hard hit rate. So let's go to Nolan Jones really quick. Nolan Jones, he's at, come on, it's loading. Okay, I see his numbers. Come on. Oh, is it because he's a major leaguer? Oh, there it is.
no, yeah. No, if you click the minor leagues, it should show up. There you go.
90.5, 42% with a max EV of 113.7 miles an hour.
Yeah, and if you ever want to edit that, you just click where it says custom. Yeah,
custom.
And then you can change all the stuff in the table.
Oh, that's pretty freaking cool.
And it also has the
does it have the plate discipline numbers too?
Yeah, you have out of the contact zone contact. Yeah, it's pretty wild that we have this stuff now for at least some of the minor leaguers.
Oh, you guys are in trouble now. You guys are in deep trouble, because that's the one thing I hate is not being able to get my plate discipline numbers for the minor leaguers. But the bro, okay, I'm gonna try. Let's see. I'm gonna do the usual.
And there is called strike percentage and called strike plus whiff percentage if you want to use it on pitchers as well.
I do.
Or for hitters. I mean, that's sometimes useful for hitters too.
But do the expected numbers, are they still there or
no? The expected numbers aren't working. Okay. I thought I could swear when I looked it up they were working, but they're not popping up on mine.
Oh yeah. Hold on. I got something for you. Oh, and then I gotta do the line break. Is that in? Oh yes, the line break. That is very important.
Okay, that zone contact isn't working. I could swear it was.
Well, we're gonna find out. So submit. Yeah, this is very thrilling. It's very thrilling stuff here. Let's see. So let's go back to what. Does it only work for AAA, right? It only works for AAA guys.
AAA and Florida State League.
Oh, that's so awesome. All right, let's find out. We'll go back to Jordan Westberg, see if I get those plate discipline numbers. I might change my player now because I don't know. We find out that he's striking out a lot, and it only has the swinging strike percentages.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, like I said, I thought the zone contact was working, but I was wrong.
All right, never mind then. But hey, it's still something. It is something. All right, so it's a little bit of a. Hope you guys are paying attention because I feel like we just discovered like America or something.
We just landed on the moon.
We landed on the moon. We play with our harpoons. Anyway, who are we talking about? I forgot already.
Jordan Westberg.
Yes, Jordan Westberg. So to finish up, like I mentioned, I'm if he doesn't make the Orioles, because the Orioles are pretty stacked, that is a sentence I didn't think I was ever going to say on the show. Orioles are pretty stacked. But you
30,
mentioned that
30 and 16. That
you
is the
mentioned
second best record in baseball, better than the Dodgers.
oh, Dodgers.
And
Well,
they're
the
still in
Dodgers
second place. And they're
Dodgers
still in
got off to a
second
slow
place.
start. But let me ask you: you said that the someone from the Astros took over their organization.
Yes.
Who was it?
It was Mike Elias, I believe.
And when did that happen?
That was 2 years ago.
Well, that explains a lot. I
Yeah.
should have known. I should have noticed. Because I got crazy when
it's Mike Elias.
because I went crazy when David Stearns went to the Milwaukee Brewers, and I was like, everything that the Brewers and Stearns did, I was like, it was like gospel to me. So I don't know how I missed that, because I've been trashing the Orioles for a long time now. But had I known, then I would have trusted the process a little bit more. But oh well.
Yeah, so if you go back into it, because I had known that he came from Houston, but I didn't realize how far back it went until I read the Winning Fixes Everything, the book into the Houston Astros cheating scandal in the front office and whatnot. So he was actually a scout for St. Louis when Lunau was there. And then when Lunau went to Houston, Elias followed him to Houston and eventually became their scouting director in Houston in 2012. So he was the scouting director when they really turned things around in Houston. And then in 2016, when David Stearns, who was also a Lunauite, was hired by Milwaukee, and they had a new opening for assistant GM. They promoted Mike Elias and was basically given full reign over. I think I'm not sure if he was doing the draft anymore, but according to Wikipedia here, well, oversight of player development and minor league operations. So, yeah, Mike Elias is a pretty good pick for Baltimore, and we're starting to see more and more of it.
Yeah. Last thing I'm going to say about Jordan Westburg, Felipe's preseason ranking, I had him 21st overall. So, like I said, I've been pretty hyped about him. And just well, I have that close anyway. So that's the first two hitters. Let's switch it up and go to starting pitchers. And you have a guy named Patrick Monteverde from the Miami Marlins, age 25 at AA, red flag. Let's see, what else has he done? What the hell? Oh God. I did the instead of just focusing on what side they throw in, I also did the batting. So now I don't know, but I guess he's left-handed, right?
Yes, left-handed.
Okay, so let me fix that then. He's a left-handed pitcher for the Miami Marlins. Does not have any prospect grades from Fangraphs, and all I could come up with is that he's a strikeout pitcher with great command. So congratulations, Sean. 25 years old at AA. Doesn't it concern you there, Sean?
No, not really.
All right.
I mean, we've seen pitchers, very good pitchers, take a while. And like you said, out of nowhere, didn't even have Fangraphs scouting grades. But so far this year has been one of the most dominant, if arguably the most dominant pitcher in baseball, in minor league baseball this year. Of course, he's up there with fellow lefties like Andrew Abbott, Emmett Sheehan, but a complete out of left field person like Patrick Monteverde is a guy, if you're in really deep dynasty leagues and whatnot, like go and get him. You have nothing to lose. He's very likely open. In my 30 team, I have him up there. And yeah, he's kind of a rarity in the minor league season so far, in that every single start he's gone at least 5 innings, which we see in the minors all the time, where like sometimes this one guy will just go like 2 innings to save some pitches, save some bullets, whatever. Or if he struggles and he only gets through 3 innings because he walked a bunch of guys. That's not happening with Monteverde. His first 4 starts, he went 6 innings twice and 7 innings twice. And then the last 3 outings, he's gone between 5 and 5 2/3. Good strikeout numbers, not walking many. When he was at AA last year, he gave up a few home runs. That was his bugaboo, nearly 1.5 home runs per 9. This year, he has given up only 1 in 42 innings, struck out 57 in those. Now, he does have a 213 BABIP, so obviously some regression possibly heading his way. But 1.29 ERA, 1.98 FIP, xFIP right above 3. solid looking arm. And once again, Miami has tons of arms and they just keep adding it to it. And this is kind of important, I think, for Miami, because last year we saw their pitching prospect depth kind of take a hit with Max Meyer going down with Tommy John, with Jake Eater going down with Tommy John. And of course, Yuri Perez has now been promoted. He's on the major league roster. And maybe Patrick Monteverde could be the next guy.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I noticed that he had a very low BABIP, which is I could have sworn you to say that you try to account for that, but I mean the numbers are impressive for Monteverde.
And when you see he only has a 28% ground ball rate, obviously not where we want it, but we have seen where pitchers that are generally fly ball pitchers can usually maintain a relatively low BABIP. Someone like Christian Javier. The fly balls actually have very low BABIPs. So I kind of expected, obviously, it's not going to be 213 forever, but I can understand at least why it's low right now so far with how few ground balls and how many strikeouts he's had.
All righty then. Let's move on to my pitcher, and it's Quinn Priester of the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a guy I've been keeping an eye on for seems like forever now.
He's still a thing?
I still believe in him. He's only 22 years old. AAA, 6'3", 210-pounder. Right-handed, still the number 5, top 5 prospect for the Pirates organization, number 114 for the Fangraphs top 100 in quotations there, because they like to go deep into their lists. It's a bonus player, right? Still an ETA of 2024. I don't know, man. The Pirates, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up this year. I would really not be surprised. But here's the grades. It's 45 fastball, 55 potential slider. So not the greatest of grades, but the big bread and butter for him is the curveball at 70 grade and a pretty darn good command at 50-55, which is, I think that might be better than some of the guys they have already up on the major league roster. So there's a lot of promise. Future value of 50, having a pretty decent season. I mean, the ERA was pretty high last I remember, but the FIP, the field independent pitching. So if you only account for strikeouts, walks, and home runs, and then there's nobody behind you to field the balls, he's actually doing pretty good for himself at 303. Strikeouts are up, I said, and the walk rate is down, so that's a step in the right direction. Induces plenty of ground balls, and most importantly, he likes to keep. He doesn't like it, but he is able to keep the ball inside the ballpark. He was my 20th ranked starting pitcher when I did the rankings this past off season. So Quinn Priester, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far this year. There's a little bit of struggle, but I think those are things. I mean, based on his peripherals, it's not as bad as it seems. And most importantly, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, if they called up like guys like Runzi Contreras and Johan Oviedo, and they already called up Luis Ortiz, how far is it from Quinn Priester getting called up? I mean, they're gonna trade Mitch Keller to the Rays or the Astros. So then that's going to be Quinn Priester time. I still believe in him. I like him. I've been keeping an eye on him for years now. So I'm looking to see. I'm basically on Quinn Priester watch at this point.
Yeah. The Fangraphs, too long, don't read. Is scouts like Priester, pitch data does not. He's added a hard slider cutter to his amazing looking curveball, but his fastball still doesn't miss bats. And his report reads like Aaron Sanchez's did.
I remember Aaron Sanchez.
Everybody loved Aaron Sanchez.
I loved Aaron Sanchez, except when he had to pitch those hard baseballs. Then next thing you know, his fingers are cutting open, and there's blisters everywhere. There's blood everywhere. Priester allowed 1 run and 1 hit and walk in 2/3 of an inning against the Orioles on Monday. Also, he got called up recently. Oh, that was back in. That's a minor league spring training note. Sorry about that.
His most recent start was earlier this week. He went 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. And honestly, depending on the velo of that sinker that he's throwing, the high ground ball, the good curve ball, I know this is going to be an even less glamorous comp than Aaron Sanchez. At least Aaron Sanchez was like firecracker when he first came up. Yeah. But Adrian Hauser.
That's your guy, though, man.
I like Adrian Hauser. Granted, I don't think I have 1 share of him anywhere anymore.
He shouldn't.
And
he had a good game last time.
Yeah, I was going to say he ended up starting the season on the IL, which I guess was kind of a good thing for me. I was like, woohoo! I didn't have to hide him on my IL. But yeah, you kind of see those numbers, and I think Adrian Hauser, which It's like I said, not glamorous, but if you're a starting pitcher taking the ball every fifth day or whatever, like hell, why not?
Alrighty then. Let's move on to your. We did the pitchers already. Let's go back to the hitters and try to finish up strong here. We still got some guys left. Let's go with your guy from the Houston Astros, Joey Loperfido, 24-year-old AA player. I listed him as a utility player because it looked like he could play everywhere, just
Yes.
absolutely everywhere.
Yes.
And like I said, we were doing 2 outfielders, 2 infielders, and 2 starting pitchers. So he counts as your infielder. 6'3", 220. That's your biggest hitter on the list, by the way. 6'3", 220. Lefty bat. Once again, no grades from Fangraphs, having a fantastic year so far this year. And for my notes, I put down fantastic plate approach, some stolen base potential, high ground ball rate is a bit of a concern, but if he has some speed, I guess it's not really that concern. But I remember that I saw that it was pretty darn high. And he's so far he's been very pull happy in 2023. Any of those concern you, Sean, at all?
Not terribly, and I'm trying to pull up. Actually, there won't be any because he doesn't play at that level to have the StatCast data that we use for the other guys. But the reason I really like Loperfido here is one, multi-position versatility, first base, second base, outfield. Like you said, a little bit of everywhere. Solid kind of line drive approach. More ground balls than I would like, but we'll take the good with the bad here. Was off to a bit of a slow start in high A, and then he had like 1 or 2 good games back to back, and Houston gave him the good old heave up to double A. I believe that's the Corpus Christi Hooks. And ever since he got there, he has hit the ball very well. 19% walk rate, 21% strikeout rate. So the walk rate's really gone up compared to previously, which was good then. It was around 11, 12, 10%, all while actually maintaining and maybe even lowering a little bit his strikeout rate around 21%. So that leaves him with a elite 442 on base. And really the main reason Loperfido is here is he plays first base. And I'm not sure if you've noticed about Houston first baseman right now, but they're kind of lost. Jose Abreu, they gave, what was it, a 3-year, $70 million contract, something like that.
Okay.
Jose Abreu has not worked out. He's been terrible. I mean, absolutely god awful. And it's one of those things where if he continues hitting like this at double A, I could see a chance where he doesn't even play triple A. And the fact that not only could you call him up to play some first base to spell Abreu if they need to start playing him less, but his versatility could also allow him to get into left field if Jordan needs a game, or get into right field if you want to DH Kyle Tucker a game. So it's that versatility that could accelerate his rise to the major league roster. And with the kind of the profile he has, pull heavy, right-handed hitter, Crawford, actually left-handed hitter. I thought he was right-handed. It's just it's a nice, solid approach. He had 12 home runs all of last year in 108 games. So far in 32 games this year, he already has 6. So the really growing into some power there. And he hit the ball well in 2022 between 2 different levels, A and A ball, 304 and 354. So there's a plus hit tool there. And he keeps hitting. And that's it's kind of like the whole Brian Reynolds. Like when you looked at Brian Reynolds in the minors, it was like 300, 300, 300, 300. It's like, okay, the guy can hit.
That's a good point on Brian Reynolds. He's always had that hit tool. It's everything else I didn't like about him, but he's proving that he is I don't know if I want to call him a franchise player, but I guess if you're the Pirates, you have no choice. Or
richest contract in history.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing you got to do. I honestly would have just traded him, but so far he's been proving me wrong, so it's fine. It's fine. Who's next? All right. So I was trying to get as many catchers on this list as possible, but obviously can't be all catchers. So my next guy, Bo Naylor of the Cleveland Guardians, 23-year-old AAA catcher. And the other guy I was thinking about putting here was Ivan Herrera, but I guess he got called up. What was it, around the time when Wilson Contreras was told that he wasn't going to catch anymore for the Cardinals, right?
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Maybe, yeah. And then there was another catcher that showed up on the list, but I can't remember the name at this point. But Bo Naylor, that's a guy I liked in the. I like Bo Naylor so much in the offseason that I didn't add him to my prospect list because I thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion that he was going to make the roster for the Cleveland Guardians.
But Mike Zunino exists.
But Mike Zunino exists, and Cam Gallagher exists. Cam Gallagher, I think, is a great, he's a pretty good backup catcher. But Mike Zunino, you're really gonna live and die with Mike Zunino, huh? Okay.
So the Mets are actually playing the Guardians right now, and they had an interesting tidbit of stats that the day before, so I guess it would have been Thursday, Cam Gallagher got an RBI base hit in until that point. So that would have been the date, Thursday the 18th. Until May 18th, between Zunino and Gallagher, the Guardians catchers had combined to go like 0 for 57.
Oh boy.
For the entire month of May. I was like, jeez. And then, of course, Cam Gallagher had like another RBI hit against the Mets. And I'm like, of course, the second you guys say that, he's going to get a base hit. Like, just shut up at this point. Wait for him to get out and then say it.
That's usually how it happens, man. It's like the curse with the football broadcasters when they mention the kicker has made all of his extra points this year, and then doink, misses one for the first time all season. Let's see, what do we have here? So Bo Naylor, I liked him so much. I honestly thought he was going to make the opening day roster. Otherwise, I would have added him to my prospect list at the beginning of the season, but I didn't because of that. But I could have sworn it was a foregone conclusion to have both the Naylor brothers up and running for the Cleveland Guardians. But he's 6'4", 205-pounder, lefty bat. Red flag. Lefty bat.
Yeah, what is up with you? You're picking nothing but lefties here, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, 50% of these guys are lefties. So, number one Guardians player in the prospect and their farm system, 47th overall in the Fangraphs 100. He is supposed to be called up this season.
He's called up today.
Oh, he got called up?
Yeah, it is a doubleheader with the Mets, but I just typed him into the good old Twitterooski, and he has joined the Guardians as their 27th player. Okay, so one saying he's joined as their 27th player. The Guardians prospect page, no confirmation yet if it's the 27th man or a more permanent move.
Probably the 27th man. I could see him getting sent down immediately, but perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, as far the other reason why I wanted to do a prospect show was not just because how bad pitching is, but also how weak catching is. I could have sworn that this year we would have seen a little bit more depth, and that has not been the case. If you don't have like a top 6, top 7 catcher that you had drafted in March, you're pretty much out of luck. Right now, Sean, in one league, I'm down to either Yan Gomes or Matt Tice as my revolving door at catcher. So pickings are slim. So Bo Naylor, Ivan Herrera, those are guys I'm kind of keeping an eye on. But Naylor for sure, with the big raw power upside of 60, pretty damn fast for a catcher. I know it dropped to 50 speed, but at one point it was graded at a 55. Future value of 50. Good batting eye, says. Can provide depth to weak catching position. Yeah, much needed depth to a weak catching position in 2023. Has shown double-digit stolen base potential. The power has been improving every single season. Has a high line drive rate. Starting to show ability to spray the ball to all fields at AAA. And no preseason, like I mentioned, no preseason rankings, because I could have sworn that he was a slam dunk choice to start the year with the Cleveland Guardians in the Major League roster. But yeah, the more I read about Bo Naylor, the more I look at Bo Naylor, the more excited I get. And we need him. Fantasy people, we need him. So once he gets called up, for sure, with permanent, when we find out that Mike Zunino is hurt for the year or Cam Gallagher gets traded or something to that effect, it's Bo Naylor time. And another guy I wanted to mention was Francisco Alvarez. It looks like he's finally starting to get some playing time. A little bit of growing pains there. So yeah, the young guys are starting to take over little by little. Yanier Diaz is already up. He's been up for a while now. And there's growing pains there as well. But yeah, I know that we always kind of talk about how older is better at catcher because, experience, and teams seem to trust those guys. But I've also mentioned that we're also noticing a wave of young catchers getting an opportunity to flourish and get some heavy playing time little by little. So this might be part of that trend that we're noticing, and Bo Naylor might be at the very forefront of said trend.
Yeah, this year in AAA was averaging a 90 EV, 40% hard hit rate, 111 max EV. So solid power there. I didn't realize how high his line drive percentages had been over the seasons. I do know that there was like a strikeout problem early in the career in
Yeah,
2021.
looks like
Yeah,
from what
it
I
was,
checked, from what I checked, that's been kept under control recently.
yeah,
And that was
23% this year.
yeah, and it comes with a high walk rate as well, from what I remember looking at his Fangraphs page. So yeah, the arrow is moving up for Bo Naylor, and again, this is one of two players that I utilize the BABIP technique that you are always pushing. Well, his BABIP is at 400, so he's gonna his BABIP's pretty. It's in that range where.
And it seems like he's just a guy that runs a low BABIP, which is weird for someone who has a high line drive percentage. Like I'm going back and looking at prior seasons to see if, because he is pulling the ball less this year than he ever has been. You mentioned that in terms of spraying the ball around. That could have just been he was a guy that got killed by the shift in the minors. Even though he was hitting hard line drives, he was pulling him into the shift. So it is interesting to see someone who has consistently run like pretty low BABIPs. Like he topped out at 333 really in AA in 52 games, but 255 in AA in 2021, 333 promoted to AAA 306 in 2022. This year in AAA 293. So yeah, the upside's definitely greater than probably like a Mike Zunino. The only thing I'd probably worry about is the ability to get playing time. If I don't know what his framing metrics are looking like in AAA, but if there's a team that's going to value those, it would be Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
especially if like the offense would have to just be like otherworldly to make up for game calling ability and framing ability.
Yeah, and that's always a concern. But any at this point at catcher, you mentioned it before, and we've seen it as well. I mean, it's in the you can look at the roster resource page and look at how teams are utilizing catchers, and it's sometimes they just go 50-50 every other day. It's your turn, today's my turn, tomorrow's your turn, today's my turn. If you can get part time playing time at the very worst case scenario, he's playing every other day at the major league level. As long as his bat is in the lineup, even in fantasy circles, you could still, especially if you're playing a 2-catcher league. I mean, that's I think that's value in itself right there. Like that you're still gonna get the best of Bo Naylor as long as he's in the lineup on a semi-regular basis. But you talked about it, Zunino. Come on, we know what he is. He's never gonna be anything more than that. At this point, catcher's always better. Older is always better at catcher. Maybe Zunino has picked up some tricks of the trade. With the framing. I'm not. Maybe that's something we could look into. Is what's Zunino's framing? Because I know he might have learned a thing or two in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and also, he was. I'm pretty sure very good in Tampa Bay.
And then Cam Gallagher was always a very good backup to Salvador Perez in Kansas City. So maybe that's 2 strikes against Bo Naylor. But again, you can't deny the bat. The bat is pretty damn good so far in the minors, and he comes with stolen base potential. I at this point, it might be worth, at the very least, keeping an eye on. And if you have the space for it, especially if you're in a 2-catcher league like I am, like you and I are, that might be worth the protecting him in one of your minor league slots.
That's absolutely brutal. Mike Zunino's always been the high strikeout guy with some power. His strikeout rate this year, 47%.
Oh shit, I was just joking about that.
Oh, 47%. That is,
come
yikes.
On. And then you tell me you can't get Bo Naylor some at bats. Well, the concern is his framing. Well, the concern is that Mike Zunino can't frame the bat. How about that? Anyway, so that's my guy, Bo Naylor. I'm excited. I've been wanting to talk about him for a while now. So let's talk about your. Are we on your last guy now?
Yes.
Nate Furman.
Last hitter.
Last hitter. Sorry. Yeah. Last hitter, 21-year-old single A. So Sean's really digging deep here.
Yeah, this was I found by accident. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. But go ahead, give me
Yeah.
your breakdown of Furman real fast.
I listed him as an infielder because it looks like he's playing everywhere. And that's position eligibility, multiple position eligibility is more important than ever in fantasy circles, right, Sean?
Yeah.
5'8", 180-pounder. So this is another diminutive guy, lefty. So 3 left-handers and a switch hitter for Sean. 49th ranked overall in the Fangraphs team rankings for the Cleveland Guardians.
49. That I was, like I said, this was not expected to be the pick, but he was the pick.
The hell? 2023 report says a very high hit tool. I'm sensing a lot of Estuary Ruiz vibes. As much as I hate using that word, I'm reminiscing about Estuary Ruiz's grades that he had at Fangraphs. 35 out of 70 hit tool. Game, the power isn't there, but the speed is what kills here. 70 out of 70 with a future value of 35 plus. And as we know, Sean, those can always fluctuate. It might go up next year. You might see a 40 plus guy next season. Who knows? Having a good year at single A. Speed kills is what I wrote. Superb plate approach, but he does lack power. Obviously, the grades manifested themselves in the productivity or lack thereof. But other than that, Nate Furman, what do you got for me?
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say he's in the same speed range as Estuary Ruiz. I think he probably loses a little bit of a step, not much of a step, but a little bit of one. I like to think of this as Luis Arias, but isn't slow. Like is actually fast. Like he's not Estuary Ruiz, like where you're like, holy shit, he got right by me. But like quick twitch athlete. I was actually gonna pick another Cleveland middle infield prospect who's a favorite of mine, Juan Brito. I think he's like 10th or 12th ranked in their prospect rankings over at Fangraphs. And then I got bored, so I just started scrolling through every prospect. I think Cleveland had like 50 of them, and I get all the way down to 49. And I see Nate Furman and I see the numbers, and then I look him up on Twitter, and then I look up his stats, and I'm like, holy shit, what is this guy doing? And then you dig into his days. He played 2 years at UNC Charlotte, only hit a career 3 home runs in about 50, 90 something games, 400-ish plate appearances, but hit 301 in his freshman year. Then in his sophomore year, hit 371 with a 502 on base, walked 49 times to only 26 walks. As a freshman, he had 22 walks and 15 strikeouts. And he's just doing more of the same this year. 33 walks to 18 stolen bases in his first taste of pro ball in Lynchburg, the Carolina League. And playing primarily second base. Like you said, absolutely zero power. But if you pull up his page on Baseball Reference between college, collegiate, summer league, and including the Cape Cod League, which he played at the Cape Cod League last year in 2022, and which is a wood bat league, features some of the best hitters out there. He only had 5 extra base hits in 28 games, but once again, hit 306, 12 walks, 13 strikeouts. And this is against like the creme de la creme of college athletes and summer athletes in the Cape Cod League. And we're seeing more of it this year. He had a little hot streak just recently, I think last week, where he went in a week 9 for 13 or something like that, 7-game on base streak, likely to get promoted. I would believe so. And it's like I said, if he turns into like a Luis Arias, but with speed, you add in, it's not only just bat to ball ability with him, but it's obviously a elite eye at the plate. Between all of the summer league, college, where he was at UNC Charlotte, 170 walks to 102 strikeouts. And
wow.
It's just like, you don't see that. Like you don't see that at all. So really a throwback guy, seems to really have like that, just that quick twitch baseball player in him. Like he's not all tooled out or crazy or lighting up radar guns with the exit velocities, but he just knows how to put the barrel on the ball and get base hits, and he's a threat on the bases. It just seems like a valuable player. I know Cleveland has a lot of middle infield, so he definitely has to climb a steep hill here. But he's definitely a guy that I want to root for, just with the profile it is.
Alrighty then. And I know you have a history of picking guys just like that. I mean, you picked a bunch of guys just like that in this episode, but
Yeah, him and Rudick were unnaturally close.
but looking back at some of your history, you've also picked Carlos Cortez, same 5'7",
Yeah.
197, but
And
well, he
we saw
wasn't.
where Cortez was, we were hoping to be more power over hit, but he's stalled out completely.
Yeah, the speed isn't there, but the plate approach was. Unfortunately, it
Yeah.
didn't attribute to anything else. Lucius Fox, 6'1", 180, middle infielder. What I wrote about him back in 2021 was 25 plus stolen base potential. Very good approach, but no pop in the bat. And I think I
You
wrote
see,
down.
like, to me, Lucius was a bad hit tool, just all speed. Lucius was my Asteri Ruiz in 2019.
Okay.
Like that's what I was hoping for. Like before Asteri Ruiz broke out offensively, I was like, oh, Lucius Fox is that fast.
Yeah, but
Lucius Fox was fast.
but when I was looking at that list, I'm like, man, this is like we're back to that Carlos Cortez and Lucius Foxes of the world. What did you do in 2022 with your hitters? Let's see, Pasquantino, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Alvarez, Cesar Prieto. I guess that'd be the guy.
So Cesar Prieto is in that same mold, and he is actually rising up list right now. He's hitting almost 400 at Double A, 6% walk rate, a laughable 4.7% strikeout rate in Double A this year. He had 4 home runs or 11 home runs total last year, 4 in Double A in 90 games. Already has 4 this year in 35 games. He was that Cuban import, really good bat to ball skills.
Yep.
So yeah, he fits into that same mold, I would say, as Rudick and Furman, but maybe a little bit more hope for power if he grows into it.
Alrighty. And yeah, and I believe I might have bumped into Cesar Prieto when I was fooling around with the Double A numbers, but then I realized, I better just stick to Triple A. But I could have sworn I saw his name at the top of the list there too. All right, let's see here. My last hitter here, Jalen Ortiz, which Phillies prospect, which that's something I didn't think I was ever going to do, was pick a Phillies prospect for one of these, because I'm not a believer in the Phillies at all. But
yeah, their system's a bit of a mess right now.
But this is the one bright spot, I guess you could say, although he's a little bit on the old side because he's already considered a post-hype sleeper. He was the 19th ranked prospect for the Phillies, and it looks like this might have been back in 2022. So he's supposed to be called up this year, but you look at that lineup and where does he play? Kyle Schwarber's in one corner outfield, although Nick Castellanos once again is looking brutal in the outfield. Against the Cubs, there was one where he was forced to go to his right side.
But he's actually hitting this year, right?
Yeah, he's
making me look stupid.
He's actually hitting this year, and it's Kyle Schwarber who's going
just
struggling. But Kyle Schwarber already has 11 home runs. But once again, Castellanos, this was something we talked about earlier this year. Is like I saw a video, or I quickly glimpsed at a video where they're talking about how the Phillies tried to get Castellanos to go more towards right center as opposed to be guarding the lines, because it showed the numbers show
he was better going towards the foul line.
Yeah, he was better going towards the foul line.
They did that going into the playoffs, and he made all those quote unquote great plays in the playoffs. And it's like,
routine plays.
Yeah, any other outfielder doesn't have to dive and tumble over their ass to catch that ball. But yes, he was better.
Yeah, and then of course, sure enough, I forgot who hit the ball for the Cubs, but there was one ball that was driven to right center field, and there's Castellanos. Any other right fielder would have made that catch, but Castellanos is just kind of bumbling. And that's the thing with Castellanos. He's always been an awful defensive player, period. That's the reason he plays outfield, because he couldn't cut it as a third baseman. So I guess in that regard, defense does matter in fantasy circles, because you never know. So low hit tools, the power is where it's at, 70 graded power for Jalen Ortiz. Again, this is not normally a guy I would pick, but he's having a great season. I accounted for the BABIP. This is a BABIP example here, Sean. 40 future value, so really nothing to brag about. But and the notes I put on, struggled in Double A, but off to a great start at Triple A. Walk rate is up, strikeouts are down, and you're seeing the production unfold in front of you. Huge power potential, spraying the ball evenly for the first time ever in his minor league career. He also has the lowest fly ball rate of his minor league career this season. Can play all outfield positions. So if he's, that's I'm just saying he does have appearances at center field. He has done it. I mean, we've seen plenty of major leaguers who you're kind of scratching your head. It's like, why is he playing center field? And the numbers don't back it up, but he could put a glove on. He has enough speed to kind of hold his own. So he's playing center field for a major league roster. Maybe that's I'm just trying to find ways for Ortiz to fit in this lineup, but this is looking more like he might get traded. Hopefully he gets traded. Somebody believes in him. Somebody decides that they're going to take a chance on Jalen Ortiz, and maybe the Rockies will do something. they'll team him up.
It's funny because I was just thinking that in my head. I wasn't going to say it, but you said it, and I'm like, oh god, we're on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, Nolan Jones on one side, Jalen Ortiz on the other side, and they trade away Jurickson Profar. Chris Bryant is out for the year with a bad ankle injury again, or something
hurts
like
his
that.
Toe.
Hurts his turf toe, or his eyes are hurting him. So Jalen Ortiz, I'm not excited, but if I was going to do this by the numbers, he does fit the low BABIP, relatively speaking, because I had to really dig deep for this one. I think I ended up doing a range of BABIP between 260 and 360 or something like that, just so I can get the because there was if I can get another outfielder, because there was a lot of infielders who fit that profile, but no outfielders. So and that's how I ended up with Jalen Ortiz. So I'm gonna go with it. The power is mammoth enough where there might be something there.
You want to know how mammoth this is?
I don't know
his max EV this year 117.
Holy crap!
That's Stantonian, 54.5% hard hit rate. This is a very interesting player. I hadn't even seen him at all this year pop up anywhere. The only thing I'd worry about is that strikeout percentage turning back into a pumpkin. He's a 30% strikeout guy, and then you're just like, But I mean, if you're hitting the ball that hard, even if the strikeout rate does go back up to 30, if you're walking 15% of the time,
you're Joey Gallo at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you're Joey Gallo with maybe a little bit more average upside with him going opposite field. It's solid line drive. It's not like insane fly ball. I could tell he had one stop where he was insane fly ball a couple of years ago, but that was only a 21 game sample size. So yeah, very interesting to see the walk rate come up that high and the strikeout rate go down that low. But that max EV and the 91.1 average EV, when he makes contact, he's hitting the ball hard, and he's making more contact this year than he probably ever has. So that's a good combo.
No, that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see, right? So, like I said, normally that's not the type of player I look for, but he's fitting all the metrics that I was filtering. So we're going to go with it. And if anything, I can always adjust when we do our second minor league show of the year. Let's finish up strong here. Brian Wu is your other starting pitcher for the Mariners. So it's always interesting to see our Mariners pitcher shows up because they are loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded. And I don't think you picked any of their big names. So here we go. Sean picked Brian Wu of the Mariners, 23 years old, AA, 6'2", 205-pounder right-handed pitcher, the 28th ranked Mariners prospect. And it looks like this is from the 2022 report. So I'm going to make that adjustment right now. So he was at one point a top 30 Mariners prospect. I'm not sure where he would rank today. But he has an ETA of 2025, actually. Fastball's pretty good. There are really no other secondary pitches to talk about, unfortunately, with a 35+ future value.
Well, this is all from last year's scouting report.
Yeah, again, I'm going with a 2022. Okay. I don't know. There's no updates, so that's all I have. So I figure I always mention it, but I always put down what year is the report from. And so far, I have him on the notes. I have a strikeout pitcher with improving control, fly ball pitcher. So that will keep the BABIP low and automatic outs up. What else you got for me for Brian Wu?
Yeah, so definitely one of the most dominant pitchers, much like Monteverde this year. Kind of came out of nowhere. Not so as much. I want to say he had a really good spring training with the Mariners on the major league side. Got the AA assignment and is up there with the best of the best pitching prospects in baseball this year in terms of like strikeouts to walks, and with somebody like Marco Gonzalez really struggling, and they've already called up one. Bryce Miller's already come up. Of course, they could go to somebody like Emerson Hancock. But there's a lot of love on Twitter from the Mariners faithful that they want to see Brian Wu, and he's making a really good argument for it as well. So,
all right, and my last player we're going to mention here, and then I got to get going because the wife's already giving me a glare. Not that I can see her, but I can feel her.
You can feel the glare.
I can feel her breathe coming over me. DL Hall is my last guy. Orioles. I know, Sean, I can already hear you. But I'm telling you, pickings were slim. I'm telling you, it wasn't that strong. The whole point was to look at starting pitchers and see if we can find some starting pitcher help. Nope. Can't do it. Not in this, at least not in this go around of our prospects show. 24-year-old AAA Orioles pitcher. So the Orioles already have a guy like that in Grayson Rodriguez, like with a using quotation marks, high pedigree. I still believe in DL Hall. Left-handed, the 6th best prospect in the Orioles system, 109th overall in the Fangraphs top 100. Again, bonus player there. ETA of 2023, but I believe he already got called up last year, right?
Yeah, he debuted last year and
he
was
even played this year.
he even played this year. He's basically bullpen only at this point.
At bullpen only.
And it's so funny because like we talk about like, like even if like they really just need like Grayson Rodriguez to work out, and then DL Hall can be like the closer, because that was like the preeminent arm that looked very closer-ish for them. And then Felix Bautista just kind of like comes out of nowhere and is like, I am the closer now.
Yeah, and then Yainer Cano is waiting in the wings.
Yeah, Yainer Cano. So
they're
kind of building a nasty little they could have a very three-headed monster back there.
But before you get a DL Hall in the bullpen, as you know, Sean, you gotta try him out in the rotation. He's still starting for the Orioles, right? We're gonna give him the old Aroldis Chapman treatment. 70 fastball, 55 slider, 55 curveball. So the stuff is there. The changeup's at 60. You cannot have a guy of this kind of pedigree, these kind of rankings, these kind of grades with the starting pitching profile this high with the other pitches and just automatically say, oh, well, he's a bullpen only. I mean, I think they're going to try him out as starting pitcher. The Orioles starting rotation right now, I'm sorry, man. Those names are still kind of, they're kind of icky. They're gross. I know they do just enough. They're working. They do just enough to get by. That left field in that revamped left field in Camden Yards has done wonders for theyese guys, and I think that's a big reason why they are able to flourish, even though they're mediocre names. But
I think
give them
that might
credit
be what Gleyber Torres is most well known for.
Gleyber
Torres single-handedly changed the dimensions of that stadium. After his, what was it, 2019? He had like 19 home runs and like 12 of them were there. That the Gleyber Torres, just put his name on the wall or just like inscribe it on the backside of it. The Gleyber Torres Memorial Wall or something like that. Wow,
Sean. Makes sense. I mean, I think you might have uncovered something, but still, I'm not giving up on DL Hall just yet as a starting pitcher. FIP is pretty high at 440, but you know what? When I was looking into this and I did the all those filters that I do, and I did the strikeout minimum and the walk minimum and all that, DL Hall still is better than a lot of the pitchers that were on that list, believe it or not. But here's what I wrote about him. Racks up the strikeouts with lightning stuff. Command has always been an issue and struggles with walks. That's everywhere with him, unfortunately. Fly ball pitcher this year. So again, that should work well in terms of getting those automatic outs. If you can't, maybe a good way of preventing walks is just by forcing hitters to fly out. And he was my number
throwing strikes.
Well, that's the problem, right? He has the stuff for it, but it's the command. I mean, it's a tell as old as time. You have a fastball, but if there's no movement to the fastball, it's gonna get rocked. You have a curveball, but if it just hangs in the strike zone, it's gonna get rocked. If it's a slider, it's gonna get rocked. So the trick is to get hitters to swing at pitches that they don't want to swing. It's like, oh, that looks like a strike, and then zoom, there's that vertical break you always talk about. I still have him as my number 8 preseason starting pitcher, number 8. And I have it closed, but since we're kind of finishing up, and I know you're gonna just bash the kid when it's your time to when I see the floor over to you, but I'm just gonna open it up real quick here and look at that's the Hall of Fame show. That's the wrong spreadsheet. Anyway, go ahead and the floor is yours for you to trash DL Hall here.
It's just, I mean, at one point you are what your baseball cover says you are. And I think
man. And I
think with DL Hall, it's starter with piss poor command means you're a reliever now. Accept it. cut out some of the extra pitches that maybe you really don't command well at all. Go faster slider, fastball slider,
Yeah.
and just be the dominant lefty out of the bullpen for that team. So
No way, man. I still believe. You gotta believe. You gotta believe. You gotta believe. You gotta manifest it, as people would say, manifest it into reality. The players ahead of DL Hall on my list: Yuri Perez, Logan Allen, the good Logan Allen, not the bad one, Brandon Pafat, Andrew Painter, Bobby Miller, who's also struggling, Hunter Brown, who's up in the majors, Taj Bradley, who is
in the majors.
Finally, okay, for sure now.
Yeah, when Rasmussen went down.
All the injuries, right? And then there's DL Hall, and right behind DL Hall, Reese Olson and Tanner Bibby.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one more name: Daniel Espino, number 11. And number 12, Matthew Liberatori, who I would have added him.
He recently just got called up.
But he recently just got called up. But other than that, when I did the filters, he ended up being the best starting pitcher in the minors in AAA, across all AAA, where it looks like Liberatori is finally keeping those walk numbers in check. But again, that's a Cardinals thing. They love their pitchers who could give up a lot of walks. That's why they suck. Liberatori kind of reminds me of Dakota Hudson a little bit. Same kind of walk issues. But
it's not Dakota Hudson level bad yet. It's not that bad.
It's still bad. I don't care. It's awful. Come on, Cardinals. But that's the Cardinal way. They like their pitchers who give up a lot of walks. And I think that was the last player on the list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're done here. Last words from you, Sean, before I let you go.
We'll see how these look at the end of the year.
Well,
see if any of these guys debut.
Well,
a couple of your guys have already debuted still, but
let's take a look. 2022 pitchers. I mean, you had Hayden Wisniewski, Thomas Chapuki around this time. This is our May 15th show, by the way, last year. Wisniewski, he's already been called up and he's been brought back down. Thomas Chapuki,
he got traded and was really good in the bullpen, and then he got hurt again. So his entire career basically.
So yeah, that's the real DL Hall, not the DL Hall here that you are bashing, but that's the real DL Hall. Do I not have their throw? I thought they did. He's a lefty too, right? Oh, there he is. Yeah, lefty.
Yeah, Zapecki, yeah, he was a lefty.
Daniel Espino, hurt. Brian Bello. Hey, he won me a championship last year, so I'm not gonna complain too much about him. Ty Madden. See, I was looking at Ty Madden. I don't remember where I saw that name before, and sure enough, I think he ends up, number 35 on my preseason prospect rankings for starting pitchers.
Yeah, so he's having he started again at AA where he ended last year, off to a pretty solid start. I don't think Detroit's in any real rush to push him, but he's good. I like him.
Calvin Ziegler was your guy last year as well. And then for my guys on the May 15th show, well, we named a lot of pitchers here. Oh, yeah, well, it was a pitching show. That's why. Yeah. Max Meyer, and then he goes down. Grayson Rodriguez, Reese Olson, who I think I just mentioned as being a top 10 guy. Yeah, number 9 on my prospect rankings. Number 9 was Reese Olson. Taj Bradley was also on the top rank. Andrew Abbott, who I thought I heard names. I thought I heard some buzz about Andrew Abbott.
Oh, yeah, no, he was he's probably when you talk about the most dominant pitchers in the minors this year, Andrew Abbott's one of the top 3 names. And it was because he made AA look silly. I mean, and he's got at AAA now. He's leveled off a little bit, but still making guys look silly.
And then I forgot that we also did A guys. So your A guy was Calvin Ziegler. My guy was Alejandro Hidalgo, who I have not heard about in a while. But you know what? We have a little bit of time, just a little bit of time. Hidalgo, Alejandro.
He's in high A.
Yeah, he's still in high A. Oh, that's not good.
Well, he was an A-ball last year.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and he's only 19 still. He was 9. I had him listed at 19. When's his birthday? Oh, his birthday's coming up tomorrow. Happy birthday!
It's his age 21.
He's with the Twins now. Since when? What happened?
Angels making moves.
Well, really quick before you get to that, after we talked about him, what we say about him? High strikeout per walk ratio, much improvements in 22. It's only his second season, but a lot of improvements I've seen. Induces a lot of pop-ups. So what has he done this year? Strikeouts are down, walks are up, ground ball rates are low as always. even though he has a 150 ERA. But yeah, the peripherals are just not very good.
It was the Gio Urshela trade.
Oh, wow. Good job by the Angels there. But the Twins, they've been known to, turn things around for certain pitchers. So we'll see how that works out. But right now, it's not looking too good. Not looking too good, I got to admit. What else about him? Yeah, that's the 2022 grade. So we already talked about those last year. So far, this is why, like you mentioned, Sean, we don't like, or you don't like, I should say. I kind of find it interesting, but you don't like speculating about guys in A ball, high A, because there's just too many uncontrolled variables.
Yeah,
this
and
is one
I've
of
had
them.
my heart broken too many times. And it's like you just like Jonathan Clase in 2019 when he was in rookie ball. I mean, he was like the next coming, and I was like, oh, I think I even added him. I think that's why he sticks in my head so much. In my 30-team league, I had added him, and then I ended up dropping him. And I was like, okay, maybe I dodged a bullet there. And then he's starting to rise back up prospect ranks. And I'm like, God damn it, not again.
And I forgot. Yeah, we mentioned Cesar Prieto. That was your high A guy. Who was my high A guy? Oh, my high A guy was Robert Hassel III, who was with the Padres at that time. So since we really quickly talked about Prieto, let's quickly talk about, just mention what has Robert Hassel been doing. Remember, this is a guy who was supposed to be my lineage of Josh Lowe, Jack Peterson, Christian Yelich.
He's Christian Yelich.
Good. I mean, that's what I was looking for. But yeah, unfortunately, strikeouts are up. Walks are down at Double A in Washington. Actually, he just got promoted to Double A. At Single A, he was doing pretty darn good. Oh no, he wasn't. 308 slugging percentage, but a very high on base percentage. I think the Nationals might have thought that his batting eye was really good because he walked a lot more than he struck out. But then he gets to Double A.
He's facing worse pitching.
But he gets to Double A, and it's the inverse. The walks, he's now at a what would that be? A half? Yeah, 0.50 walk per strikeout ratio. Really struggling right now. So, but why would they trade their guys? The Padres are.
It's not like, I wouldn't say he's doing terrible right now.
Oh, it's awful.
279, 375 on base. We'll see where the power. We'll see if the power comes.
No, man. If you don't have that option,
he hits the ball on the ground too much. That's the problem.
Yeah,
which is why we say Christian Yelich.
But again, this is part of the whole reason. Like, oh, don't trade away your farm for the right now. What are you doing, San Diego? Last I checked, Juan Soto is much better than Robert Hassel III. Okay, so I hope we can
be careful how loud you say that. People are saying Juan Soto sucks now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm just enjoying the fruit of my labor here.
249.
And that's the show, man. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google, all those podcasts. And of course, Sean will upload the video. We didn't share much today, but we did share that eureka moment with the Fangraphs customization, player customization for minor league StatCast data. So hope you all enjoyed it. For Sean, I am Felipe. We will see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Adios.